Before you publish your first book, here are 5 harsh truths that I wish that someone would have told me when I debuted as an author. Hello, my name is Natalie. I'm an author and a growth marketer, and I try to accelerate my writing career whilst teaching my learnings to you guys so that you can come along. And in this video, I wanted to talk about what I learned quite abruptly when I debuted as an author. Because here's the thing, I have a background in communications. I work in marketing. So I have a lot of these things naturally that a lot of authors think is hard. But despite that, there were quite a few things that even I didn't know when I started out my writing career. The first harsh truth that you need to understand is the fact that it doesn't matter how good your book is, like the quality of your book does not determine how successful it will be. And like now you're thinking, okay, then I need to focus everything on marketing. No, that's not true either, because no matter how good you are as a marketer, if the quality of your book isn't good enough, then your entire career might fall flat either way. Like there was this TikToker named Otter Winter. She's brilliant at marketing. And she had like over 6,000 pre-orders for her debut novel, which is unheard of. But because of the fact that her book didn't live up to the expectations, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't edited and a lot of those things. It was a big failure. You should look it up if you haven't heard of it before. But most of us in the writing community probably have. And this means that when you debut as an author, you need to make sure that the book is as good as it possibly can be. But you also need to have some sort of basic marketing skills. And there's a sort of balance in this, of course. But to be able to, like, either if you go traditionally or if you do the indie route, you still need to make it as good as you can. So one thing that I would focus on a lot, and I actually did with my debut novel, which I'm really glad of, is that I focused a lot on the writing. I did a lot of copy editing. I had it. So I didn't indie publish my first novel. It was at an external publisher, and it went through an editor, proofreader, and stuff like that. And that really, really helped it like make it as good as it possibly could be. And this is what you should focus on. You should focus on getting it as good as you can, but you should also talk about it. Use social media to market, like talk about your journey. Make sure that you have some people who are surrounding for you and who are excited about your book coming out so that they can hopefully tell others. And learning number 2 was the fact that traditional publishing is slow, like really slow. I am a restless person. I write fairly fast also. So whenever my first novel got accepted, I think it took 2 years from it being accepted until I had it in my hand. And that was just such a long time. And during this time, of course, I was writing other projects and stuff like that. And I was starting to do social media, getting people, talking about my book, talking about my author career, talking about books that I like. Just like that, knowing the fact that it takes that long is one of the reasons why I started my own indie publishing house. Because I can't wait 5 years. Like, I can't wait that many years for a book to get published. I write a lot. I write in series, and I'm skilled at marketing. So I've decided to try and do it my own way and do it myself because I don't want to wait that long. But when you do the indie route instead, everything you do, like when you have an external part who is someone you can talk to and someone who will make sure that the manuscript lives up, like has all the quality markers. When you're an indie publisher, you need to do all of this yourself. And this is also something that I see other indie authors sometimes missing. They are skipping really important steps because they think they can they think that their story is good enough by its own. But it doesn't matter how good your story is if your book is contaminated with spelling and grammar mistakes. that really bothers me as a reader, because I will, every time there is like multiple mistakes on a page, I will get pulled out of the story every single time. And when you're self-publishing, you need to make sure that your book is as professional as it possibly can be. And like, to make it really professional, of course, you need money. I talked about how much my latest book, Library of Eternity, costs in this video. I will link it in the description also. But I got a lot of comments saying like, you overpaid for that costs too much, do. But here's the thing, I really don't think that I overpaid. I think I paid just enough for it to become as good as I could make it at that point in time. And yes, I paid for, an editor, a proofreader. I paid for not only one, but 2 covers, because I wanted a different one for the English cover, because the Swedish version didn't work because of the frame and stuff. And, if you want to know more about it, the entire process, watch that video. But the thing is, for me, I try to do everything as professional as I can, and to make sure that, like, I want to become an author and have an author career that is really long term. So I don't want to have to go back and revisit the books I'm writing now and see that they're not holding up in the long run. I'd rather make sure that they can become as good as I possibly can manage right now, so that in the future, I hopefully I only have to change the cover when there are new trends in cover design or stuff like that. So I really think it's important that you think through what you can actually do to make sure that you have everything professionally. Because also, like, I get the fact that you can't, like, a lot of people can't spend a huge amount of money on their books. But then you need to think about what matters most. Which parts of the progress can you do yourself or ask a friend for help? And which ones can you pay for? So you need to do those things yourself and figure it out. And lesson number 3 is the fact that you need to do the heavy lifting when it comes to marketing, when it comes to selling your debut novel, no matter if you're a traditionally published author or an indie author. Because like 9 times out of 10 at least, probably more, traditional published authors, they don't get a huge advance, which means that the publishing house won't spend a huge budget on marketing. They will see if the book sells itself, or if the author can, make sure that it has a lot of traction. And if it's successful, then maybe you will get a bigger advance for your next book. And the same comes with being an indie author. You need to make sure that there's hype when your book launches. You need to make sure that there are pre-orders ready when the book comes out, and you need to have a plan for the launch week or launch weeks. Because if you want to end up on the best-selling list, or top list at least, like, pre-orders and all of those things will really matter. And there are a bunch of strategies that you can use to do this. But for me, at least when I publish my books in English, I try to make sure that people have already saved it on Goodreads as want to read. I will probably have some sort of giveaway before, with Goodreads giveaway or something like that, just to make sure that, and it gets out there and people will start giving it reviews. I will make sure that ARC readers have already read it, and maybe I will have a live on social media. Maybe I will send out the links to the book on my newsletter. And also, of course, I will have some sort of book launch party. And at my book launch party, I'm friends with a bunch, at least here in Sweden, I'm friends with a lot of bookstagrammers and bookfluencers. And that's a lot of fun, because they will be there supporting me, taking photos, making sure that it's all over social media. And that really helps boost sales. And it boosts my confidence that people are supporting me and there for me. So don't underestimate those things when it comes to your book launch, and try to plan it as well as you can, because the book launch in itself can also be very anticlimactic. Like when I launched my first book, it was a great launch party and a great launch week, but it was also like, because after that, like not that much happened. I had to wait for the audiobook to come out, and since I hadn't published it myself, I didn't know how the sales went. I didn't get a sales report until I think after 1.5 years or 1 year or whatever it was, because the publisher has a bunch of other authors and a bunch of other books and a lot of other things to do, so they can't answer me day by day or week by week on how much I'm selling, unfortunately. I mean, I wish they could, but because that would help me understand how my marketing efforts performed, of course. But yeah, now I'm rambling. I'm getting back to the list here. And lesson number 4 is the fact that the reviews you get on your book, they matter so much more than you think. Because no matter how much you yourself talk about your book on social media or in real life, social proof is more valuable, because when we hear from someone we trust, someone we like, maybe it's a bookstagrammer, bookfluencer, or a friend, that they really love a book they've read, and this is someone that we trust, this is someone who usually recommends books that we love, then we will go and buy the book without reading the blurb, without anything else. So social proof, getting reviews on your book is super important. It's important to get it up at the web shops. It's important to get it up on Goodreads and wherever you can find your book. So try to have some sort of plan for this. As I said before, I usually do a Goodreads giveaway before my book launches in English. This makes sure that people in the English speaking community have a few of them have my ebook, 100 of them have my ebook, and hopefully they will leave reviews. I will also try to have an ARC team ready, just so that someone has left a review. Doesn't even have to be that many. The point is that there shouldn't be 0 reviews when your book launches. And one thing you also should know is the fact that you will get bad reviews. And no, you can't go in and answer and say, no, you're wrong there. This is what happened. You're supposed to understand. No, you can't do that. You can get emotional at home in your private space, but you can't go out on Goodreads and answer bad comments or a bad review, because you will get them 100%. We all do, because no matter like whichever genre you're writing in, not everyone, it won't be their genre, or your book won't meet the expectations they had for books in that genre, or whatever else it is. So just try to get ready for that. And when someone asks, what should I do, I got a bad review, for me, I think I usually try to think like this. Like, I'm a professional marketer, so I know that when it comes to marketing, like there is we always have personas that are our target audience, and when someone that is not our target audience buys our product or something like that, they probably won't enjoy it as much as the intended audience for that product. And the same thing happens with your book. So when someone says that they are missing this and this, and that is why they didn't finish your book, or that's why you got a 1-star review, that's not your target audience. So don't go and think about that too much, because your target audience is someone else. And the best thing that you can do is to try to get your book out to as many people as possible. So get it out to more readers. That's the only thing you can do. And that's the only thing you should be focusing on. So social proof really matters. Getting reviews really matters. But you will also get bad ones, and you need to know and understand that. And it's not the end of the world that someone doesn't like your book. Because here's the thing, I don't know how many books behind me here, but I don't like every single one of them. I love some of them. I think some of them are okay, and some of them, they're my partner's books, and they're not my genre. So I'm not going to read them. If I read them, I probably won't like them. So, and that's fine because we all have different tastes. And lesson number 5, which is probably the most important one, is the fact that writing is a long game. You're in this for the long haul, and no matter what happens with your debut novel, you need to think long term. What does this mean? This means that when your book launches, you should already be writing on book number 2 or book number 3, preferably. Like, you should already think about the next step. You should have a plan that makes sure that you can write consistently over time so that you can come out with books. I mean, if you ask me, for me, I want to publish at least 1 book a year, preferably 2. So I built my life around that. I built a way so that I can write that much. But for you, look at your life, look at your schedule, but try to make sure that you fit writing into your life, and that you don't spend all of your time like trying to marketing it on TikTok. Because no matter what, like, if people love the book, the thing is, they will probably look you up and try to look for your other books. And if you don't have any other books, they will forget about you and start reading another author in a genre that they like. So if you have a like long-term thinking about your writing, you want to have this as a career, you want to make money off of it long-term, then a lot of your energy and focus should be on creating a backlist, which means writing more books. It's like when you have 6 or 10 books, that's when you have a good backlist. And like with every book you release, especially in a series, your entire backlist might lift. At least if you like, if you write in multiple genres, like whenever you launch a new romance book, that might lift your old romance books also. But have this in mind, that you need to think long term, and whatever happens, it doesn't really matter with the debut novel. I mean, it's amazing if it if it sells a lot, but if it doesn't, it doesn't really matter, because you should already be focusing on book 2 and 3. You should be thinking long term, and this was just a warm up. So with that being said, these are the things that I wish I knew. Because like when I debuted as an author, of course I thought my book was going to sell quite a lot. Of course I thought that there would be more interviews. There would be, I don't know. I'm not even sure what I expected, if I'm honest. But now I am thinking of it a lot more long term, and I've created a life that works with that. I am talking about my journey here on YouTube and sharing it with you guys so that we can grow together and become successful together. And I wish I had found some YouTuber when I started out who talked about this. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear what you're working on in the comments. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.